The NFL playoffs are officially underway. We had wild card weekend last weekend. Now we are heading into the divisional round of the playoffs, and there is some good games going on this weekend. We're going to run through all the player props for this weekend that I have. Talk about the lines for each game, over under for each game. We'll run through all four of them. There's 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. So let's get into the player props. You can find this over on my Twitter at Nolan Klein Bets. And the first game on Saturday is Bills Broncos. And I just have two player props for each game. So for the first one, for the Bills Broncos, I do have RJ Harvey over 53.5 rushing yards. The Bills rush defense has been kind of weak all season. And last game in the playoffs, they did give up 154 rushing yards to the Jags. So I think it's a good opportunity for Harvey to really get going. He hasn't really ran for a crazy amount of yards these past couple of games, but I think it's a good opportunity in a game where the run game is a, there's a likelihood of the Broncos exposing the Bills' rush defense. So I'm going to go RJ Harvey over 53.5 rushing yards in that one. And then for the Bills, I am going to take Khalil Shakir over 4.5 receptions. I believe this may have went to 5.5. I wouldn't really mind either one. I would take over 4.5 or even over 5.5. Last game, he literally caught 12 passes. For I don't know for how many yards, but I know it was 12 receptions on 12 targets. The Bills should look to pass against the Broncos. The only concern I do have is Patrick Surtain for the Broncos is really, really good. He could definitely lock down Shakir, although there are a number of different receivers that I could see him covering, and he usually does stay on one side of the field, so there's going to be opportunity for Shakir to get open. So I'm going to go over 4.5 receptions for Khalil Shakir. He has been over 5, or he's gotten 5 or more receptions in 3 of 4 past games. So that's a little confidence there with that pick as well. It makes me feel good about that bet. As far as the actual game goes, the Bills are currently not favored. I thought they were. They might be favored on some sites and not favored on other sites. Money line's pretty much about even. I feel like the Bills have the edge in this game. I don't know why. Like, they're going into Denver, playing a good Broncos team. But I will go back to just trusting Josh Allen to get it done. And there are times where the Bills defense has played well this season. There's also times where they've struggled. So I could kind of see it going either way for the Bills. And then the over-under is 45.5 for this one. It's about middle of the pack for the games this weekend. I'd probably lean over 45.5 just because I think the Bills will score regardless of the Broncos defense being pretty good. And then the Bills defense has definitely been exposed recently. So even the Jags, I think, scored over 20 on them. So I think the Broncos should be able to score some points in this one, even if the Bills do end up winning that game. All right, moving on to the later game on Saturday. It's 49ers at Seahawks. This game was one of the games that was a little tough as far as the player props. I thought this one was kind of tough, and then the late game on Sunday was a little bit hard for the player props just because they're all good teams that are left. So it's hard to find defenses that are actually weak because if their defense was super poor, they probably wouldn't be in the playoffs right now. So for this one, I am going to go McCaffrey over 5.5 receptions. It's definitely a high total for a running back, but he has caught 6 passes in 3 of 4 of his past games. One of those was also against Seattle in Week 18. And now with Kittle out for the rest of the season, I definitely could see Purdy checking down to Christian McCaffrey a lot. This could go either way. I believe the 3 games that he did go over, he was right at 6 or 7 receptions for those ones. And he's obviously a running back, so I'm not sure how much he's going to be used. I'm not sure how much they're going to game plan him out of the backfield catching passes, but if Purdy's in trouble, I do expect him to kind of check down to McCaffrey. And then for the Seahawks, this one was kind of tricky. I am going to take Zach Charbonnet to score a touchdown. He's now scored in 3 straight games, and I believe he has 4 touchdowns in his past 3 games total. And he's definitely their goal line back in Seattle. San Francisco's defense also is pretty beat up. They definitely can be exposed to the run. They gave up 140 yards to the Eagles and still won that game. So I could definitely see Charbonnet getting going against San Francisco. And, he's scored in 3 straight games. One of those games was against the 49ers as well. And then for the actual game, Seattle is a heavy favorite at home. And I can see why they're a heavy favorite. They did win last matchup. I think San Francisco only scored 3 points. So Seattle's defense is obviously good. 7 points is definitely a lot for a divisional playoff game, though. I could see San Francisco covering. I know there's 7.5 out there at some places, so I could see them covering 7.5 points. I do think the Seahawks should win this game, though. They just have the most complete team in this matchup. Also, their defense is much better than the 49ers. That's weighed heavily in the playoffs. So I'd go Seattle money line. I'd maybe hold off on taking the spread, -7 for Seattle. That seems like a lot of points. Over under of 44.5, which is really interesting considering their last matchup. I think the Seahawks scored like 13 points. Niners only scored 3. I don't even think they scored a touchdown. So I could see that going under. I'm not sure if weather's going to impact that one at all, but I think the 49ers might have a tough time scoring in Seattle, especially without Kittle now. If I were the Seahawks, I'd completely game plan around stopping Christian McCaffrey and then, their top wide receiver, probably Juwan Jennings, or I think Robinson kind of went off against Philly. So if they can do that, if they can stop McCaffrey or at least contain him and then lock down their number 1 receiver, I don't really see the 49ers doing that much in this one. And then moving on to Sunday, first game is Texans-Patriots. I believe, so on Sunday, I think I'm going to be live for the Patriots-Texans game. I am a Patriots fan, so that'll be kind of just a sweat in itself, hoping for a Patriots win. And then on Sunday, I think I'm going to stream the late game, Niners Seahawks, because I think that'll be a good game. So I'm going to probably live stream Niners Seahawks on this channel. We will have bets for the Niners Seahawks, and then I will have a bet for Texans Patriots, I'm sure. So I'll be live for both of those games, which was a lot of fun last weekend. For the Texans Patriots, Hunter Henry, I'm going to go over 3.5 receptions. He has hit the over in 2 of 4 previous games. I know the Texans defense is really good. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against the Texans. The Pittsburgh really, really struggled. Aaron Rodgers had a couple opportunities and had guys open to make throws. I think that'll happen again with the Patriots. I really don't feel confident in betting anything on the running backs for the Patriots as far as rushing yards go. Ramondre Stevenson has been a kind of a weapon out of the backfield. That could be in a player prop or two. But for rushing, the Texans are so good up front. I really don't think they're going to get much going. I think they're going to have to try to throw to win this one. Hopefully May is a little bit more comfortable than he was to start the game last week, because he was definitely a little timid during that game. I don't know if it was just because the playoffs or just the environment, I'm assuming. But I like Hunter Henry to go over 3.5. I think that's the best bet I could find for the Patriots in this game. And then for the Texans, the only under I do have, CJ Stroud under 1.5 passing touchdowns. The Patriots defense looked really, really good last weekend, and Stroud struggled against Pittsburgh. Most of their points came from the defense in this game, and New England only allowed 3 points last weekend to the Chargers. So I don't really see CJ Stroud getting going. Also, Nico Collins might be out for this one, so that's just another piece that they don't have against New England. I do believe Christian Gonzalez will play for New England, so that's a positive for their defense. Probably their best overall player and definitely their best DB. So under 1.5 passing touchdowns for CJ Stroud. And then going over to this game, lowest over-under of the weekend, 41.5 is the total points. And, I mean, I expected it to be low. I'm not shocked that it's only 41.5. I really could see this one going either way. I guess now it's 40.5. It moved one point down. Like I said, I could see this going either way. I think the Patriots are going to struggle to score, but I also really, really don't know what to expect from the Texans offense either. CJ Stroud looked bad. He looked bad in the cold, and most of their receivers besides Christian Kirk really didn't look good either. Dalton Schultz is probably their best offensive weapon through the air if Nico Collins doesn't play. Honestly, I probably would still go under the 40.5 in this one. I don't see where all the points are coming from, really. I do know that Drake May, as a 3 or more point favorite, is undefeated. I think he's 11-0 in his career. So I probably would like the Patriots to win this game. 3.5 is tough considering there's probably not going to be many points scored. So I could see it being a real close game. But I would definitely take Patriots money line. And then the late game on Sunday is Rams-Bears. This was tough because the environment that they're going to be playing in Chicago is going to be pretty tough, especially for the Rams. Obviously the Bears as well, but just because the Rams are not used to playing in the weather. I know it's going to be really, really cold. I don't know if there's going to be snow, but I do know it's going to be pretty cold. Even with that said, I am going to take Puka over 7.5 receptions in this game. It's a really, really high total, but he's got 9 or more catches in 4 of his last 5 games, which is just crazy. I also think two of the games he had 12 catches, and last week the Bears gave up 322 yards passing. I think Stafford should be able to find Puka. Devontae Adams is playing, so that's another kind of decoy, another weapon for them to use. I think this is the best bet I could find for the Rams on a Sunday. And then for the Bears, I'm going to take Colston Loveland over 57.5 receiving yards. I thought this was kind of low. He's had 3 straight games of 90 or more yards, and I know the weather could play a factor in this one, but I mean, it was cold when they played last weekend too, so I mean, obviously they're probably used to it by now. I think Williams should keep feeding him targets. I want to say he had over 10 targets in all 3 of his past games, which is a lot for a tight end. So they're definitely finding something. And I think it should continue against the Rams. The Rams don't have an incredible pass defense. So Loveland over 57.5, I think is a good bet for Sunday. Now I will have player props, or I will have parlays for all these games, or at least a few of these games. I'll probably put them out tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. And then just looking at the Rams-Bears game overall, over under 48.5, it's the highest of the weekend, and that doesn't surprise me. Bears have given up a lot of points. Rams have given up a lot of points in the playoffs and also late in the season as well. And obviously Vegas doesn't really care that much about the weather, so maybe we shouldn't either. That's why I do like the receivers over still in this one. The Rams are favored on the road in Chicago, which is interesting. I thought it would be more of like a pick'em, like 1 or 2 point spread. They are favored currently by 3.5 points. I probably would lean Chicago plus the 3.5 points, just because they're at home, in a tough environment, but they've already done it this postseason. So I think they have a good chance to keep it close. I would definitely go Bears plus the 3.5. I'm not sure about winning straight up. And the over-under is tricky because both these offenses are pretty explosive. I think I would go over still, just because the Rams can definitely score points, and they haven't really been able to stop much either. They did just allow, I believe, close to 30 against the Panthers, and the Bears' offense has been rolling, so I do expect them to keep that up as well. And that's pretty much it for the player props, at least for this weekend. Like I said, I will have bets for each game, or probably a parlay of some sort for a couple of the games. So definitely look out for that in my feed this weekend and tomorrow, Friday, depending on when you're listening to this. But super excited for that. Hopefully a bunch of these can come through. We've been doing pretty well with the player props, so I've been pretty excited to keep putting them out for the playoffs. It sucks that the NFL is coming to an end, because I feel like I've been having so much fun with the player props and parlays. And last week we hit on, I believe, 2 out of 3 of the parlays, and then a bunch of the player props. So it's been really well. I've been kind of building my bank, but we'll have much more for NBA and also MLB coming up here soon too. So excited for what's to come, and I look forward to keep putting these out on Twitter for y'all. So have a great day, great night. Hopefully some of these can come through. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for much more on this channel as well, and